Ambassador Kix, 791 adjusted his 6 legs nervously as he reviewed the intelligence report for the third time. The flickering holographic display cast an eerie blue glow across his compound eyes, each one focused on a different section of the damning document. Emotional instability detected in 97% of human subjects, he read aloud, his mandibles clicking with what could only be described as smug satisfaction. Prone to irrational decision-making during high-stress scenarios. Combat effectiveness reduced by 43% when separated from pack units. His aide, a younger Zephyrian named Mach 445, shifted uncomfortably beside him. "Sir, perhaps we should reconsider the invasion timeline. The humans have been surprisingly resourceful in recent conflicts." Kick 791's laugh was a sound like grinding metal mixed with chalk on a blackboard. "Resourceful? My dear Mach, they cry when their entertainment programs end sadly. They form emotional attachments to small furry creatures that serve no practical purpose. How exactly do you expect such creatures to stand against the might of the Zephyrian collective?" The massive command ship Eternal Dominion hummed around them, its biomechanical walls pulsing with the rhythm of a living heart. Through the observation deck's transparent aluminum windows, Earth hung like a blue marble against the star-studded void. Such a pretty little planet, soon to be another jewel in their ever-expanding empire. "The preliminary scans are complete, Ambassador," announced tech specialist Vex 229 from her workstation. "Human military installations located and catalogued. Their weapons are primitive at best. Chemical propulsion systems, metal projectiles, basic energy weapons. Nothing that could penetrate our defensive matrices." Kix 791 rubbed his primary manipulation appendages together with glee. "And their emotional composition?" "Fascinating, sir," Vex 229 continued, her voice dripping with scientific condescension. "They actually cry salt water from their optical sensors when distressed. Can you imagine? Wasting precious bodily fluids on emotional display. And their decision-making processes are heavily influenced by something they call gut feelings and hunches. Completely irrational." The command deck erupted in what passed for laughter among the Zephyrians, a sound like 100 wind chimes in a hurricane. "Oh, how absolutely delicious this would be. The mighty Zephyrian collective, conquerors of 47 star systems, reducers of the proud Kytherian empire to scattered refugees, about to add another trophy to their collection." "Begin Phase 1, Kix 791 commanded, settling into his command throne with obvious relish. "Deploy the emotional disruption arrays. Let's see how these humans handle a little psychological pressure." The first wave of attacks began at precisely 0800 Earth Standard Time, targeting major population centers with carefully calibrated emotional manipulation frequencies. The Zephyrians had perfected this technique over centuries of conquest, using their advanced understanding of neurology to reduce enemy populations to quivering masses of fear and despair. Within hours, reports began flooding in from their field observers stationed around the globe. "Sir," Mach 445 said, his voice trembling slightly as he read the incoming data, "there's been an unexpected development in New York City." "Oh?" Kix 791 barely looked up from his victory brandy, a foul-smelling concoction that would have dissolved human teeth instantly. "Have they surrendered already?" "That would be disappointing. I was hoping for at least a week of entertainment." "Not exactly, sir. The humans, they're singing." The ambassador's brandy glass shattered against the floor. "They're what?" "Singing, sir. And dancing. The emotional disruption frequencies appear to have triggered some sort of communal bonding response. They've organized block parties." Kix 791's 6 eyes swiveled independently to focus on his aide, creating a look that would have sent a lesser being running for the nearest airlock. "Block parties?" "Yes, sir. They're sharing food, playing music, and laughing. A lot of laughing." The frequency that was supposed to induce existential dread seems to have reminded them of something called disco music from their historical archives. The silence that followed was so complete that the biomechanical heartbeat of the ship seemed thunderously loud. Finally, Kix 791 found his voice. What about the fear induction protocols in London? Mach 445 consulted his tablet, his secondary arms trembling slightly. They've organized what they call a keep calm and carry on movement, sir. Tea consumption has increased by 300%. They're having picnics in the parks while our drones patrol overhead. Tokyo? Karaoke, sir. Mass karaoke. They're singing what appear to be songs about friendship and perseverance. Some of them are crying, but they seem happy about it. Kix 791 felt something he hadn't experienced in over 2 centuries of military service: confusion. This makes no sense. Every other species crumbles under emotional manipulation. The proud Draconis Empire lasted barely 6 hours before their leaders were sobbing in their throne rooms. Perhaps, Vex 229 interjected hesitantly, we underestimated their emotional resilience? Resilience? Kix 791's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. They're supposed to be the most emotionally unstable species in this sector. Our intelligence reports were very clear. That's when the first human transmission reached them. Attention alien visitors, came a distinctly cheerful voice over the communications array. This is Commander Maria Santos of Earth Defense. We've noticed your little light show up there, and we just wanted to say, welcome to Earth. We're having a bit of a planet-wide party down here, and you're absolutely invited. We've got barbecue in Texas, sushi in Japan, and the most amazing pasta in Italy. What do you say? The command deck fell silent except for the gentle hum of life support systems. Kix 791 stared at the communication console as if it had personally insulted his ancestors. They're inviting us to a party? It appears so, sir, Mach 445 confirmed weakly. While we're trying to conquer them. Yes, sir. With weapons trained on their cities. That does appear to be the situation, sir. Kix 791 began what could only be described as pacing, if pacing could be done on 6 legs while occasionally scuttling up the walls in frustration. This is impossible. No species responds to invasion with hospitality. Commander Santos is still transmitting, sir, Vex 229 reported. She's now describing something called friendship bread and asking about our dietary requirements. Shut it off. She's also asking if we need help with our ships. Apparently, they have some engineers who would be happy to take a look at our propulsion systems. I said shut it off. The transmission cut abruptly, leaving the command deck in blessed silence. Kix 791 took several deep breaths, trying to regain his composure. This was obviously just a minor setback. Time to escalate to Phase 2. Deploy the terror fleets, he commanded, his voice regaining its usual cold authority. If they want to play games, we'll show them what real fear looks like. The Zephyrian terror fleets were legendary throughout the galaxy. Massive biomechanical monstrosities that looked like the nightmares of a fever dream, they had broken the will of countless civilizations before a single shot was fired. Their very appearance was designed to trigger primal fear responses in any sentient being. As the first terror fleet descended through Earth's atmosphere, their hulking forms blotting out the sun over major cities, Kix 791 finally allowed himself a small smile of satisfaction. Now we'll see how they handle real psychological warfare, he muttered. 30 minutes later, his smile had vanished entirely. Sir, Mach 445 whispered, you need to see this. The main view screen flickered to life, showing aerial footage of downtown Los Angeles. The terror fleet hung ominously over the city, their biomechanical tentacles writhing menacingly, their weapon ports glowing with deadly energy, and below them, thousands of humans had gathered in the streets, pointing upward and applauding. Oh wow, those are amazing, came an excited voice over the comm system. Are those practical effects or CGI? The detail work is incredible. My daughter would love to see this, she's really into that Japanese monster movie stuff. Godzilla, you know? Kix 791 felt something that might have been the beginning of a panic attack, if Zephyrians were capable of such things. Sir, Vex 229 reported in a voice barely above a whisper, we're receiving similar reports from all major cities. The humans they're treating our terror fleets like some sort of entertainment. Entertainment? They've set up food trucks, sir. And someone in Mumbai has started selling t-shirts with our ship designs on them. The slogan appears to be, I survived first contact and all I got was this lousy t-shirt. Kix 791 sank into his command chair, feeling very much like he needed that victory brandy after all. This was not going according to plan. Not at all. 3 days later, Ambassador Kix 791 was seriously considering early retirement. The situation had gone from confusing to absolutely incomprehensible, and his 600-year military career felt woefully inadequate to handle what was happening on the blue planet below. Status report, he commanded weakly, slumped in his chair like a deflated balloon. Mach 445 approached cautiously, his tablet clutched in trembling appendages. Sir, the humans they've started sending us care packages. Care packages? Food, sir. And entertainment devices. And handwritten letters. Mach 445's voice cracked slightly. One of them is addressed to you personally. A human child named Tommy Anderson from Nebraska wants to know if you have any hobbies and would you like to be pen pals. Kix 791's compound eyes began twitching independently, a sure sign of an impending nervous breakdown. What about our psychological warfare campaigns? Well, sir, Vex 229 interjected from her station, the humans have turned them into what they call memes. Apparently, our fear-inducing broadcasts have become quite popular on something called the Internet. They're remixing our invasion threats into dance music. Dance music? Yes, sir. The most popular one is called Alien Invasion Sensation. It has over 50 million views and counting. The ambassador's mandibles began clicking so rapidly they created a sound like an angry typewriter. Surely our military demonstration in Phase 3 achieved something? About that, sir. Mach 445 consulted his notes with obvious reluctance. When we vaporized that uninhabited asteroid as a show of force, the humans, they cheered. Apparently, it reminded them of something called a fireworks display. The city of Paris has officially requested we do it again for their New Year celebration. And the ultimatum? They've responded, sir. Finally. Do they surrender? Not exactly, sir. They've invited you to what they call a peace summit. The location is apparently a place called Disneyland, and they promise it will be the happiest place on Earth. They've also offered to teach us how to make something called cotton candy, as a gesture of goodwill. Kix 791 stared at the ceiling of his command chamber, wondering if perhaps the humans had managed to deploy some sort of reality-warping weapon that made nothing make sense anymore. How could a species be this impossibly optimistic in the face of annihilation? Sir, came a new voice from the communications station, we're receiving another transmission from Earth. It's different this time. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a human female with short brown hair and kind eyes. She wore what appeared to be a simple military uniform, but there was something about her presence that commanded immediate attention. Greetings, Ambassador Kix 791, she said, her voice warm but somehow carrying an undertone that made the Zephyrians unconsciously straighten up. My name is General Elena Rodriguez Park, Earth Defense Coalition. We've been having such a lovely time with your visit, but I think it's time we had a more serious conversation. The general's smile never wavered, but something in her eyes made Kix 791 survival instincts scream warnings. You see, we've been analyzing your technology, your tactics, your psychological profiles. Quite fascinating, really. You've conquered 47 star systems using fear and emotional manipulation as your primary weapons. She paused, tilting her head slightly like a curious bird. But here's the thing about humans, Ambassador. We don't just feel emotions. We weaponize them. What is she talking about? Kix 791 whispered. General Rodriguez Park continued as if she could hear him. Take our response to your fear broadcasts, for instance. You triggered our protective instincts, our community bonding responses. In 3 days, you've managed to unite our entire planet in a way that decades of diplomacy couldn't achieve. Democrats and Republicans holding hands in the streets. North and South Korea having a joint barbecue. Russia and Ukraine teaching each other folk dances. Quite the accomplishment, really. The color drained from Kix 791's exoskeleton. She's making that up. That's impossible. You see, the general went on conversationally, you made a fundamental error in your intelligence gathering. You assumed that because we cry, we're weak. Because we laugh, we're not serious. Because we love, we're vulnerable. Her smile turned predatory. You forgot that humans are the apex predators of a death world. Vex 229's workstation began beeping frantically. Sir, I'm detecting massive energy signatures from the planet's surface. They're coming from civilian areas. Oh, that, General Rodriguez Park said pleasantly. That would be our hobbyists. You'd be amazed what humans can build in their spare time when they're emotionally motivated. Jimmy Peterson in Detroit just finished a particle beam cannon in his garage. Says he was inspired by his love for his grandchildren. Martha Williams in Brisbane has somehow created a localized gravity field generator. She got the idea when she cried watching a romantic movie about star-crossed lovers. The readings on Vex 229's instruments were climbing to impossible levels. Sir, the energy output from their makeshift weapons it's exceeding our own arsenal. Impossible. Kix 791 sputtered. They're using primitive technology. Chemical rockets and metal bullets. General Rodriguez Park laughed, and it was not a pleasant sound. Oh, Ambassador. You really didn't do your homework, did you? Did you know that humans regularly strap themselves to controlled explosions and ride them into space for fun? Did you know we split atoms just to see what would happen? We've turned destruction into entertainment, survival into sport, and warfare into an art form. The command deck began shaking as proximity alarms screamed throughout the ship. Through the viewports, Kix 791 could see what looked like furniture flying through space toward them. Are those chairs? Yes, sir, Mach 445 reported in a strangled voice. Earth appears to be launching everything at us. Furniture, appliances, vehicles, garden gnomes, all of it weaponized with some form of propulsion system. General Rodriguez Park nodded approvingly. That would be the Morrison family from Texas. They got a bit emotional when they realized you were threatening their planet. Decided to launch their entire ranch at you. Don't worry, they made sure to remove the livestock first. Even in warfare, we maintain our compassion. This is impossible, Kix 791 repeated weakly. No species can convert household items into space-worthy weapons in 3 days. Ambassador, the general said, her voice now carrying the weight of absolute authority, you called us too emotional. You thought our feelings made us weak. But here's what you failed to understand, our emotions don't make us irrational. They make us infinitely creative. The ship rocked as something that looked suspiciously like a kitchen sink bounced off their hull, somehow managing to leave a dent in their supposedly impenetrable armor. When we're angry, we innovate. When we're scared, we adapt. When we're sad, we remember what we're fighting for. And when we're happy. Her smile was absolutely terrifying now. When we're happy, we share that joy with everyone, whether they want it or not. Sir, Vex 229 whispered, I'm reading massive ship movements throughout the system. It appears the humans have somehow launched their entire space program at us. Every satellite, every space station, every piece of space debris has been turned into a weapon. Even the International Space Station? Especially the International Space Station, sir. It appears to have been converted into some sort of friendship missile. The humans are broadcasting messages of peace and love while simultaneously aiming it directly at our main engines. General Rodriguez Park clasped her hands together like a pleased teacher. You see, when you threatened to destroy our world, you made us feel something very special. You made us feel protective. And there is nothing, absolutely nothing in this universe more dangerous than a human who feels protective. The ambassador looked around his command deck at his crew of seasoned warriors, conquerors of star systems, breakers of empires, and realized they were all cowering. Cowering from a species that threw parties in the face of invasion and turned household furniture into space weapons. "What do you want?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Oh, that's simple," General Rodriguez Park beamed. "We want to be friends. We want cultural exchange. We want to learn about your technology, share our art, maybe have a nice dinner together and talk about our feelings. You know, normal friendship stuff. And if we refuse?" The general's expression didn't change one iota, but somehow the temperature on the command deck seemed to drop several degrees. "Well, that would make us very, very sad. And when humans get sad, Ambassador, we tend to get creative about cheering ourselves up." On cue, every screen on the ship filled with images of humans launching increasingly ridiculous objects into space. A piano playing classical music as it streaked toward their fleet. An entire Starbucks coffee shop, still somehow serving drinks to astronauts as it flew past. A parade float from Rio de Janeiro's carnival, complete with dancers in colorful costumes, spinning gracefully through the vacuum of space. "You're all insane," Kix 791 breathed. Emotionally invested, General Rodriguez Park corrected cheerfully. "There's a difference. Now then, shall we discuss the terms of our friendship? I have some lovely people here who are very excited to meet you. There's Dr. Sarah Kim, our xenobiologist. She's practically bouncing with joy at the thought of studying your biology, completely non-invasively of course. And Chef Marco Antonelli wants to know about your dietary preferences so he can cook you the perfect welcome dinner." As if to emphasize her point, the screen split to show dozens of humans waving enthusiastically at the camera, each holding signs with messages like, "Welcome new friends," and "We can't wait to meet you," and "Please don't make us cry, we get dangerous when we're sad." Kix 791 looked at his crew, at his mighty warships being pelted with kitchen appliances turned into guided missiles, at the readings showing impossible energy signatures from what were supposed to be primitive creatures armed with sticks and stones. "Mach," he said finally, "open a channel." "Sir?" "I said open a channel. It appears we have some friendship terms to negotiate." General Rodriguez Park's smile could have powered a small star. "Outstanding. Welcome to Earth, Ambassador. I think this is the beginning of a beautiful relationship." And as the Zephyrian fleet found itself surrounded by a cloud of weaponized furniture, dancing parade floats, and missiles painted with rainbows and hearts, Kix 791 realized he had learned the most important lesson in the universe: never underestimate a species that can turn pure emotion into a weapon of mass friendship.